So how many times have you seen it?
I've seen it twice.
Get better with the second viewing? About the same.
About the same. I was pretty much what I expected.
I know everything about it.
Well, you've spoiled it for yourself, haven't you?
Not nearly. No, my son ran up to me and had to talk. Was bursting to tell somebody, and his sisters.
You didn't shut him up? Talk to your sisters, not me.
No, because their sisters threatened him with violence, but I don't do that. So, and he was bursting to tell somebody in our house all about it. So I said, "Come downstairs." And I'm sitting comfortably, and I said,
"We're talking about Rise of Skywalker, by the way."
Oh, I think people figured that out. We're definitely not talking about the Love Boat. I said, "Spill it,"
which you haven't seen yet.
The Love Boat? I've seen almost all of them.
I have actually the 2 Love Boat movies on DVD.
You scored those recently, didn't you?
I did.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, box art looks fantastic.
During the opening theme, we got to get our risers because I'm craning. So, yeah, are you craning?
No, I'm okay.
You're mildly shorter than I am.
I might be craning, but yeah.
All right.
The hair makes a difference today, apparently.
It does. Today it does. Yeah, I got a lot of hair. Oh my god. Anyway, so he told me everything, and you know what's great? Again, I'm not a spoiler person. You know, I just.
So you're gonna go see it now? Since you know everything?
I'll skip it. No, actually, no, but I will say everything he told me, I was like, that's going to be cool. I can't wait to see that. So it really was spoiled. And everything he told me, I was actually like, yeah, I can see that. I mean, nothing was just like,
I enjoyed it.
Oh, there's a deal breaker. I mean, no, I enjoyed, Zach's a pretty good storyteller, though. And sometimes they're true. But he...
just like you.
Yeah, you know, it's a family trait. But flim flam. No, I actually... carved just about all fabrication out of my life about, I want to say...
Fabrication?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like Jim Carrey, Liar, Liar, where all of a sudden, someone blew candles off a cake and I...
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I cut all fabrication out of my life about 4 or 5 years ago. And...
Wait, are you lying now?
No, I think I'm wrong, though. I don't think 4 or 5 years is the right time. So that's why I spanned it maybe between 4 and 6. And it's an interesting lifestyle choice, I must say, because I thought, well, in place of fabricating something, I'm talking even like little white stuff.
What about the woman who comes up to you and says, "Oh, I just love my hat. This is I spent so much money on it. I love this hat. This makes me look so beautiful," and you think it's wretched.
I have a great response to that, though.
Do tell.
Well, there's 2 versions. There's 2 responses. One is, that is so your hat. It says nothing. I have become the master of saying nothing while saying everything. Or the other thing is, hang on, I'll talk to you in a bit. Then you take off. You flee. You flee the situation. So yeah. Now I don't know. I've become fascinated with the art of lying, though, I must say.
And if this woman comes back there, no, tell me what you think about this hat.
Then clearly she's insane, and it doesn't matter what I say. Clearly she's deranged. So it's a really interesting lifestyle. I don't know. You should try it, but you've never been. I mean, you're pretty forthcoming, for better or worse. So yeah. But what would you tell her?
I'd probably say I'm not going to tell her the hat is wretched.
No. What about a family member? Now we're getting to.
I guess it depends on the family member.
Okay.
But see, I have no fashion sense, so that's a bad subject line.
There's a great answer to I have no.
Looks
fashion
fine
sense.
to me.
Yeah. That might not be.
That doesn't sound good either, though.
That's where you get into some stickier social situations. So, yeah, I find it really fascinating. So I don't know, the no lie lifestyle. It doesn't work in our culture right now. Everyone's lying like crazy. Oh my God!
Yeah,
everyone's just lying. Like, I mean, you should. I mean, I every day it
starts at the top,
and that's as political as we get on this show. So we didn't really say anything there either. We just said it starts at the top. Pick any top.
Yeah. Everybody has a boss, right?
Oh yeah. You get yourself in trouble. So yeah, but I haven't watched a whole. I watched a lot of old stuff because, as I said, I've been watching a lot of my old.
Oh, good. Well, that goes to question number one.
Not really. You have to save that for the broadcast. So you always, this is for the podcast. People don't get to hear this, and we have about. Oh, actually, we're gonna start the broadcast, so you don't have to wait too long. We'll be back at you, and
let's do it
in a bit. The show is Front Row Center. We're in Wisconsin. That's where we talk about movies, which is unusual, I guess, because most of the time the film industry is not, it's on the coasts. It's on. So here we are in flyover country talking about what goes on the coasts of our country and occasionally other countries too, I will say.
Not a lot of flyover either, except if you're going to Minneapolis, perhaps.
They won't even fly over us. That's how we're barely drive over. So
yeah, Michigan and Wisconsin kind of get cut out of that flyover business.
I kind of like that, actually. I prefer that, if they empty their anything off the plane, we don't get hit. I like that.
I'm holding the movie Explorers here, which you have out here.
I do.
I never cared for this movie much.
If
I see it now, it's more like nostalgic, because
Yes.
I did see it many times, and it's nostalgic in that respect, but
it doesn't work.
just never really cared for it.
I enjoy it, but in spite of itself, along those same kind of Transylvania 5000 lines, which you always like to talk about. But no, it is a deeply flawed movie that I probably enjoyed a little more than you, though.
I was hoping it would. I remember when it came on the theater, I was hoping it would be great.
It's dumb. It's a dumb movie. It makes taking a tilt-a-whirl machine up. It seems to be like two different movies too. It seems like there's maybe two different minds. Like the first hour, I think, is actually pretty good with the alien transmissions and the kid who's kind of and that was big at that. That came out. Was that 85? I want to say
85. Ethan Hawke. Good Lord. I mean, he's still making movies. Obviously,
he's a baby.
He's a baby.
He's a baby there.
Wow. Who was the third kid that didn't become a name?
I know him. He's in a really depressing movie with Robert Duvall called The Stone Boy. I think his name is
I remember The Stone Boy.
Jason Preston, I think, is the kid's name. And he was really good in The Stone Boy. It's
I never saw it, but I remember it.
It was one of those horrible situations where he accidentally shoots his brother with a gun laying around the house, and how they deal with that. It's actually a really powerful film. But Explorers. I like Joe Dante a lot. He's one of my favorite filmmakers, so I appreciate it for that. But it is. But it's funny. There's a lot of movies like that coming out in the mid '80s, like Daryl and War Games.
More. Flight of the Navigator.
Flight of the Navigator's A6. Yeah, there was this cluster of movies about kids kind of dealing with sci-fi elements, robotics, aliens, etc. So and like you said, for nostalgia factor, I just watched it again recently, and the ending is a disaster of epic proportions, because it looked like they just didn't know where to take the story. But the first hour is solid. I think the first hour is very solid. But what can you do? Hey, you got a free extra review here on Front Row Center. By way of introduction, I'm Jeff. He's Bert. You can find him at Schlockmeisters on YouTube. And how's that coming these days?
89,600 subscribers. And counting.
That's how many subscribers you have?
Yeah.
And that's like your third go round, right?
Second. This is my second go round.
Okay.
Yep.
Any threats lately? Anyone?
No, not at all. My channel's pretty clean these days.
Making a few shekels here and there?
Not at the moment. Nope. I have been demonetized again. They can't decide whether I should be monetized or not.
I can't either.
Monetized, no monetized, monetized, no monetized.
They don't know what to do with you. They're so confused.
It comes and goes.
Well, that's a shame, because with all those subscribers and all those views, I bet you'd probably make a few a check here and
when
there.
I was monetized, I was making about $5 a day, $5, $6, $7.
That's really awesome.
Which isn't
actually
bad.
That's not bad at all for doing something that you love, and it's a bunch of
can't make a living on it, but
no.
But it's kind of cool that you don't have to do anything and you just make $5 a day.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I would either augment your video collection or possibly dinner and a night out at the end of the month. So that's there's nothing wrong with that. And for me, I guess so he's an expert because of Schlockmeisters. I'm an expert because I put all the stickers on all the DVDs that come in here to the library, to the Cedar Republic Library. So clearly,
you're familiar with the films then.
I am extremely. I touch every one that comes in. Yeah, sometimes I sneeze on them. No, I don't. You're safe to check them out. But this week we're going to cover two streaming films. We've both on Netflix. One is called I Lost My Body. It is an animated French film, and the other one is It's called Pottersville. You know, it's interesting looking into this movie. Do you know that came out in 2017?
Yeah, I was surprised by that because I saw somebody on Facebook posted about it, and I thought it was brand new, but then
we got a lot to talk about that movie. We'll have to figure that one out. But anyway, usually this is the time of show when we, because I had a really busy 2 weeks. That was a disastrous 2 weeks for me. I watched, basically besides watching Explorers, Psycho 2, and what else did I watch? Watched a fantastic. By the way, I got to talk about this a little bit. Put your list away. I watched. I don't know if you remember Disney, the Walt Disney Company. I've been kind of a weird Disney kick lately. The Walt Disney Company put out these tins. They're called the Disney.
I have one of them.
Disney Treasures is what they were called. They're extremely out of print right now. I mean, and really expensive if you want to hunt those things down. I'm talking 200, 300, 500, 1,000, 15.
Yeah, don't pay that much for them. I have one. I didn't pay anywhere near that amount.
No. They're like I said, they fluctuate. But
I got a good deal. I know I did.
Oh, which one do you have out of curiosity?
I have the one with the Dr. Sin, alias the Scarecrow.
Right. I remember when you got that. Yeah, which I was like, huh? I had no idea about that.
I had a VHS of that, a Disney clamshell box of that one. So,
well, what they did, and I guess this is kind of on Leonard Maltin, who's kind of a cinema champion, is that they really dug deep in the vault and started pulling out like just cartoons that really haven't seen the light of day for decades and decades. Like, are you familiar with Oswald the Bunny?
I think I've heard of
Oswald was basically the first iteration of Mickey Mouse, and this is something that Walt Disney and a guy named Ub Iwerks put together. So these black and white, kind of Betty Boopish, very actually the animation is very smooth, but they're kind of nonsense cartoons. It's just a lot of running around and hitting each other on the head and hanging off the side of a cliff, that type of stuff. But very rare. I'd never even seen this stuff, and I thought, man, these and it's totally out of print. Well, a lot of those are in our library system here, and so I started pulling those things in. And
so what happens if you check that out and then just I lost it?
Well, I don't really want to talk about that here on this show. Maybe when we have a show about the inner workings of libraries, we'll do that. But let's just say
those are valuable, and I could see somebody wanting to check that out and just absconding with it.
Let's just say that. Yeah, we hope you don't. We need to we need to make sure our materials are in, but. Yes, you could be onto something. I will say that, but we prefer you not do that. I will say, actually, they're really scuffed up. These things are old, and I mean, in a library. So if you think, hey, I got a mint condition tin, you're not going to actually. It won't be worth the value that you hope it will be because library DVDs are used for besides watching frisbees, coasters. Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. So you're not going to walk away with a mint condition copy. So there's that, and you won't get the original casing either because everything's always busted apart and put in its own cases. So there you go.
I hate that.
Well, I mean, it's a library. You got to do something. So anyway, so I've been watching those, and then so what I watched this week, and it was a ton of them, is when Disneyland and Disney World both first opened. The Wonderful World of Disney. This would be the Sunday night show that they used to
early 70s.
Yeah, 70s. But actually, that show goes back to like the early 60s. That show was on. In fact, originally it was called Disney's The Wonderful World of Color, because color televisions were just coming in vogue, and so this was one of the few color TV shows you could tune into. Was The Wonderful World of Color. So they called it that because it was a marketing thing at that time. But so on The Wonderful World of Color, there's about 6 or 7 episodes about the creation of, the building of, and it was just promo stuff for the Disney World and Disneyland theme parks, all hosted by Walt Disney. And of course, when I was watching, I was laughing. It's like, man, kids today would never sit still for this because it's just a lot of, hi kids, I'm Walt, and we're outside Tomorrowland, and it's not quite done yet. I have the blueprints here. I mean, it's just this kind of a marketing sizzle reel.
Well, there wasn't much to watch back then. So.
No, that's true. That is very true. They couldn't turn the channel over to
they didn't know what they were missing.
Nickelodeon or something. Yeah, that wasn't an option. So I spent the week watching that because I was just fascinated by this stuff. I don't know. I've never been to either place.
I've actually been to Disneyland twice, Disney World maybe 4, 5 times.
Okay.
And a Disney cruise. Actually, there was a 12-month span when I did all 3.
Oh, that sounds expensive.
Disney's not cheap. But there are deals to be had if you know what you're doing.
My problem with probably both the theme parks, we'd probably do a Disney cruise, although I think I'd barf. I just don't have that kind of constitution. But anyway, but the problem with the theme parks now is that I hear it's a place where you spend a ton of money so that you have the opportunity to spend a ton of money. It's all gift shops, and you got to spend, and like if you want to, like, I'm having a nice cup of black tea here. It cost me with the 2 tea bags probably 70 cents. I'm assuming at Disney this cup of tea is $7.50.
Well, what you got to do with Disney is there are
bring your own sandwich.
It's an expensive place to go. However,
bag it.
There are deals, and what you want is they have meal plans. And you want to go at a time of the year when they provide the meal plan for free. They do have those.
You mean actually in the parks themselves? You can just
yes.
Oh, you pay something and you just walk around and start eating.
Well, no, it's not like all you can eat. There are limitations.
Damn it!
You get like 2 meals a day.
You almost had me. You almost had me.
Yeah, it's like 2 meals a day, and it honestly the meals. I like to eat a lot, and I'm full. I'm filled when when I leave there. Yeah.
Oh, so the meal plan people are in like a special, there's people who are over there.
No, actually, they're just the regular places.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
Yep.
But there's a limit.
Yeah, it's like there's like certain meals you can a cheeseburger, fries, and a drink, and a dessert or something like that.
Maybe a nice leafy green salad.
I think there's
just
there's definite options.
You only eat burgers.
You have several options to choose from.
I'm just checking.
It's basically a meal.
Okay, all right. Well, that's three squares a day.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Snacks.
I think there are a a couple snacks actually.
No, day here.
I think there are snacks.
Right.
There are desserts, and there's
bottled water.
You have beverages.
It's like interrogating
beverages.
The meal
Yes.
plan. All right.
Usually
cool.
with these theme parks, you have a cup. You buy a cup.
Oh, okay.
And then you can refill that over and over again, like every 30 minutes or something. You can refill them.
Okay. All right. It's not a bottomless cup. It does have a bottom, but that's okay. All right. Well, in any case, that's what I watched this week because I was fascinated by just the early kind of aw shucks naivete of the early days of Disney. And that's what I told my wife. I was like, the only Disney I want to see, I'm not that interested in all the new stuff. I'm sure it's great. I mean, all the Star Wars stuff is great, and Terminator and Back to the Future, whatever else they've got there. Again, I think Back to the Future is probably Universal, right? I don't know. But
Back to the Future is Universal.
yeah, I'm in the wrong park. Okay. Where I'm not getting 3 squares a day. But I want to see the old stuff like the haunted house. It's a Small World. The stuff that's
the
like
haunted
the 60s
mansion is still there.
I heard that. I hear the upkeep though might be a little creaky.
It's pretty
like
good.
The Hall of Presidents.
It's pretty good.
And
that Hall of Presidents thing is still there and it's good and it's old.
The tiki room.
It's ancient.
That's the stuff I
don't
like.
think it's up to date since Lyndon Johnson.
That's good. They stopped at LBJ. Okay. Yeah. There's no. Oh man.
Nobody goes to see those, but it's still there.
There's no W. W's not in the Hall of Presidents.
No, at least not the one I'm thinking of.
Okay,
no, maybe they did some sort of big update. I don't know, but
they started. You know, what was interesting. A lot of those rides started at a World's Fair at. I want to say it was probably Chicago's World Fair. Probably in the late '50s. A lot of the animatronics, like the dinosaurs. They kept showing these dinosaurs. Walt was really proud of his dinosaurs, and all they did with their heads would bob up and down. And
there's definitely dinosaur stuff there, but I think they're a little up to date. But like it's a Small World, which is a very popular ride, is still there, and it looks. It looks like it's from the 60s.
They dust. Oh, they don't dust. Okay. Yeah, but those, at that time, those animatronic little robots was pretty forward thinking and amazing. But
they look dated now.
Yeah. No. But that's the Disney I want to see. But I'm not. Again, I was like, I think they're probably on the chopping block. Someone at Disney's gonna be like, okay, close the stupid tiki room already. Who wants the singing birds? But maybe I don't know.
When I was a kid, I had several Disney albums. Like they would get like the Robin Hood album.
I got them from the
library. And broomsticks. I still have them,
yeah.
but they're in my parents' house. But I did have the "It's a Small World" album, and there's pictures
As did I.
of like the actual ride. And then when I got to Disney World the first time, it's the pictures.
Nice.
Nothing has changed.
How old were you when you had your first Disney visit?
I was 15.
Oh, I remember that.
No,
one.
I was 14.
I remember that
14. 14.
You were in trouble then when you
I was. I had.
You were always in trouble, but I mean, oh man. Anyway,
shortly after the tile incident. Yeah. Actually, I was 13.
Legendary. You were 13.
Wait a minute.
You weren't 13 in high school.
No, I was 14.
You were 14.
I was 14.
You were 14. All right, we figured that out. Anyway, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, we'll listen to what Bert watched this week. I'm sure it's extensive, more extensive than me, and we'll review a film. Not sure which yet. We'll find out. Come back. My favorite part of the song, that little castanet rattle. I live for that. Front row center.
You've always been a castanet fan.
I have. It's been kind of a weakness of mine. That leads me to believe that we actually, speaking of like strange fetishes and weaknesses, maybe we should review Pottersville first. But before we get to that, let's hear what you've been up to this last 2 weeks. Well, it's 2 weeks worth, so this is going to be a huge list. I won't interrupt you. You just go.
We'll go through these quickly, but it's been 14 days, so it's going to be a little longer than usual. What do you think? How many do you think I watched in 14 days?
I think the last episode we did, you had taken in about 13 or 14 movies. So I'm going to double that and say, but then shave a little off because it was the holidays. So we're going to call it 26.
Okay. Well, you would be half right. I've watched 52 movies.
Oh, my God. You need to go to a clinic.
52 movies since we last met.
Speaking of fetishes.
I mean, it's been 14 days, so.
Oh, yeah, 52 movies in 14 days. This is like the Jerry Lewis telethon. Did you eat? Did you sleep?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
You know, you can do that eating in front of the TV, too.
Clearly you are.
All right, we'll run through these quickly here. This is basically in order. We watched Rocket Man. We watched...
Elton John.
Elton John, a comedy called Cedar Rapids.
That was funny.
It was. Something called Not Quite Human. It's the Ozploitation documentary about...
Not Quite Hollywood. I was like, wait a minute.
Not Quite Hollywood. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was good too.
It was very good. Aquaman.
That Not Quite Hollywood movie, all it made me want to do, because I hadn't seen a lot of those, I'm like, I need to see all of these.
I know.
Now. I want to find them all.
I have a fair amount of them, but there's a fair amount that I don't have that I want. So, Silent Night, Deadly Night. There was a Christmas theme this past.
I've been following your thread. Yes.
Silent Night, Deadly Night, and then I watched "'Tis the Season for Love," a Hallmark movie. Again, Christmas.
Yes.
Then Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2. And then Christmas on Honeysuckle Lane. And then I watched The Force Awakens, Star Wars Episode 7.
Getting ready.
Yes. And then the next day, Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 3. I watched The Terror of Tiny Town.
Oh, man, I haven't seen that in a long time.
I hadn't seen
Silly little
either.
movie. Yes. Yep. Emphasis on the little.
It's a little movie, yeah. 63 minutes and very little people.
Yeah.
Then I watched Episode 8, The Last Jedi. And then on Thursday the 19th, I watched Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 4, followed by Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker.
Why didn't you watch Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 and 3?
I did. I mentioned them. I just mentioned them like 30 seconds ago.
I was getting ready for the next segment. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Then Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 5, The Toy Maker, which you and I actually watched years ago.
We did.
Mickey Rooney is in that.
Very, very hazily remember that. I don't remember being actually terrible though.
Yeah, no, it's weird, but it's okay.
Well, Mickey Rooney. Probably about the same time he's running around looking for milk. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, The Milky Life. I reviewed that, too. Then I watched Plan 9 from Outer Space, actually.
I've been on you know what? I didn't mention that. I've been on an Ed Wood kick. I watched Glen or Glenda. I watched Bride of the Monster. I watched Plan 9, and then I watched Ed Wood. So I had a huge Ed Wood kick.
I've been meaning to watch Ed Wood. I actually watched about a year or so ago, but I need to watch again. Then,
wonderful.
Then I watched Christmas Evil and To All a Good Night.
Christmas Evil is a sleazy movie. That is one of the sleazy. I mean, like Silent Night, Deadly Night. That's whatever.
Have you seen Christmas Evil, or have you seen my review?
No, I saw the movie. I had it on VHS back in about 88 or 89. I was excited to see it because John Waters had mentioned in some article it was one of his favorite movies, favorite holiday movies.
Yep.
And that movie just, I mean, it was enjoyable to watch, but it just made me feel like
grimy. It's weird.
I felt ill.
It's like Frankenstein.
I don't know what's going on in that thing. Okay.
I watched a movie called 5 Feet Apart. These are part of the dollar.
I watched that too. That's
the
kids with cystic fibrosis.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that actually wasn't terrible.
It was all right.
It was well acted, I thought.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then I watched Captain Marvel. And then I watched.
You're up on your Marvel movies.
Yep,
do you know them all the March up to Marvel? Are you on?
No.
Okay.
We just picked this one up. It was
cherry pick.
This was like a Black Friday sale.
I haven't watched. It looks really good. I mean,
it's all right.
I kind of want to see that one.
Yeah. It's something called Check Into Christmas. Hallmark.
A B&B, I bet.
Yeah. And then we watched Wreck-It Ralph, which I had not seen.
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, it was really good.
It was just so much fun. I haven't watched the sequel yet, though.
We have the sequel. It's in our stack, so it'll be watched for the next few days. I can't even read my own writing. Don't Open Till Christmas.
Oh, sure.
Another horror movie. Silent Night, Bloody Night. We watched a movie called The Phenom.
I always want to see Silent Night, Bloody Night, but I hear it's a piece of garbage.
I thought it was slow.
Yeah.
Phenom, which has Ethan Hawke in it.
Oh, I don't know that one.
Something called Who We Are Now, which was a really, really good movie.
I don't know that one either.
Something called Lucky Them, which was also a very good movie.
You're in the zone here. I have no idea.
Yeah. Lucky Them. Then we watched something called The Last Station.
I know of that.
That's Tolstoy.
I've heard people actually kind of like that.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It was pretty good. Lucky Them had Toni Collette and a very brief Johnny Depp. That was pretty good too.
Okay.
The Hats Off to Christmas, another Hallmark movie.
Yes.
About a Christmas store that just sells Christmas hats.
Wow. Oh, jeez. 2 hours? They get 2 hours out of this idea. Oh,
and then we finished up that night with something called A Christmas Love Story, which I don't remember, but I did watch it.
Couldn't have been better than the Hat movie.
Yeah. Then I watched the best Christmas horror movie ever made, Black Christmas, the original.
You and I watched that, I think, and
we probably did.
And I've tried to watch it before, and it's not that it's not a good movie. I always wind up starting it too late, and I don't get through it. But what I see, I'm like, oh, this is great. I have to finish that damn thing someday. I really like what I see, but I think you and I did watch it many years ago.
Yeah, we probably did. And then I watched Vincent Price's Once Upon a Midnight Scary. Something from my old list,
Nice.
which burned onto a DVD-R.
Like made for TV or something? Or what
It was
is
like a CBS storybook series or something like that. It's just 3 short little subjects, 47 minutes long.
Nice.
Yeah. Then I watched on Christmas Eve something called Mayhem with the guy who's in The Walking Dead. His name is Glenn from The Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Then I watched something called Life, which is about James Dean getting his pictures taken from the Life magazine guy.
Boy, you're really hitting it hard. Whew.
Then I watched The Toy. I hadn't seen that in a long time. I want to see that.
A few decades. Wow. Yeah.
Then I watched something called Run All Night with Liam Neeson, which is kind of an action mob movie, which is actually pretty good. Better than I thought.
Yeah, because he was doing those ridiculous Taken movies, and he just kept cranking out these action movies that was
another
the same
one just
pattern.
like it.
But I heard that one actually was kind of tongue in cheek, a little funny, and and good. And
It was
so I
good.
kind of wanted to see that one.
Much better than I anticipated, but it was $1 at the Dollar Tree. That's why, and it had decent reviews, so that's why we got it. Christmas Day was a kind of a big day. We had no filial obligations that day since we had done our Christmas stuff previously, so we went to the movie theater that morning.
Yeah.
We watched Little Women opening day.
I've heard very good things.
That was actually very good.
I'm dying to see that. Yeah.
Very good. Much better than I anticipated. Then I watched Bombshell right after that.
I'm dying to see that. That was
also
phenomenal.
really good.
Yeah.
Came home and watched Pet Cemetery, the new Pet Cemetery,
I haven't seen that yet,
2019.
no.
Which
Any
was,
good?
It was decent.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, then I watched Electric Boogaloo, the Canon documentary.
Yes,
about
I've seen that. That's
Golden
wonderful.
Globus.
That's
Yeah,
a blast.
That was good.
That made me very nostalgic.
Yeah. Yes, it sure did, didn't it? And then we watched Inside Llewyn Davis, which I picked up for $1. Dollar Tree.
Nice. I love that movie so much.
Yep, that was a good movie.
Absolutely in love with that film. I love that soundtrack's amazing.
Yeah. Please, Mr. Kennedy.
Please.
Oh.
We sing that around the house quite a bit.
I do too now. Yep. Yeah. And then we finished the night with a Hallmark movie called A Bramble House Christmas.
What a way to end.
Yep.
Oh, my. The Coen brothers and then the Hallmark. I don't know anybody else who has a cinema diet like you do.
Exactly. And then the next day, I watched something called Don't Look in the Basement.
Oh, that's a sleazy one, too. I remember that one.
And then that night, we watched, I think it was Netflix, The Two Popes. Which,
that's supposed to be really interesting.
It was decent.
It looked well acted. I think that, yeah.
Anthony Hopkins is in that.
And who's the other? Who's playing Francis?
I don't know.
It's someone big. It's someone I know. He's a relatively here. I got it.
All right.
You keep
I'll
doing
keep
your
going.
list. Don't let me hold you up.
Yep. And then we watched Airport 1975.
I saw that on your.
Hadn't seen that in a while.
I watched your review. That was fun.
Yep. And then Pottersville, which we're going to be talking about very soon. And then yesterday we watched Lolly Madonna XXX, which was my throwdown from last week.
Sorry,
2 weeks ago now.
We'll talk about that next week.
Watched a really not good movie on, I think it was Amazon Prime or Netflix. It's called A Cinderella Story, Christmas Witch. It was not Hallmark. It was kind of like a Hallmark, but it was younger people, and it was bad.
Worse than Hallmark.
Bad.
Jonathan Pryce from Brazil is playing Francis. That's why I knew him. And okay, very good.
There you go. And then I went to the movie theater again and watched Rise of Skywalker with my parents.
Very good.
Took us to that.
Nice.
Came home and watched The Runaways, the Joan Jett movie. And finished last night with Godzilla King of the Monsters, the sequel to Godzilla.
I kind of like that. It was mass destruction and kind of. It
was decent. Not as good as the first one. I really liked
the first one. Was very
one.
well done. The first one had a plot. I think the whole thrust of the second one was just like, let's just get a bunch of monsters fighting.
They sure got them all.
And let's just destroy everything. It was such. I mean, I was impressed by the sheer volume of mass destruction. I thought there was, and the monsters were cool. I thought they were just badass monsters. So because of that, I forgave the fact that there really was not much of a plot.
No,
it was just kind of plotless.
But I had one more movie. I got up this morning before I got here.
Wow, you are on.
Yes, Wet Hot American Summer.
I saw it when it first came out, which is already now probably 15 years or more.
2001.
Oh my god. And I remember enjoying it and laughing back in 2001, but I don't. I have a very little recollection.
So 52 movies. Again, it was 14 days, so 52 movies, 14 days.
Completely shocking. All right. Well, you know what? That take us. All right, now you have a benchmark you have to exceed next week.
Boy, that's tough.
You are watching this stuff for our protection, so we don't have to. We thank you so much. You know that whole list and all that diatribing took us to a new word. Took us to our next break. So we have 2 more segments to go in which we will review this week's movies. So if you stuck with us for this long, but it's been a while, we haven't talked to you for a while, so it's nice catching up. We'll be right back with a review of a movie about people in animal costumes. Come back if you can. All right, welcome back to Front Row Center. I think I called it Front Row Video early on.
Which was a real place.
Yeah, it was a real place. I worked. That was video store number 2 for me, or 3. I can't remember anymore. I think it was number 3. It was number 3, right after Video Savings on Brown Deer Road. So,
by the way, that wet hot American Summer, which I watched this morning, it was a milestone for me. It was the 700th movie I watched this calendar year.
You are keeping track.
I am keeping track.
I mean, obviously, I knew you were bringing your sheets here to the show, but I did not know.
Yep, we decided to keep track this year, so.
You should publish your findings on January 31st. Although I guess you're kind of doing that here, so that's fine. From here on out, you can now publish your findings.
And you know what? The first half of the year, I wasn't anywhere near as I was the last half of the year. So
you spiked it.
I spiked it big time.
I hope to too one day. This has been. I'm doing better. That's what the show is about. I was like, that's when I proposed the show to you. It was mostly just so I'd start watching more movies again. I've been kind of lackluster.
I didn't skimp this year, but I think it's going to be even better next year. I'm going to have actually put a video up on either New Year's Day or New Year's Eve. I'm going to challenge people to watch 500 movies.
Well, it's almost like, what, that's nice. Actually, that's a lot like they do a lot of reading challenges with books. They do that on Goodreads and stuff. And nobody really does like a viewing challenge. It's actually we should do that here. We should get people involved and kind of. All right, I like this. This is a staff meeting for the Front Row Center staff.
I'm definitely going to have a 500 goal for the year.
Let's talk about.
So should you?
I should not. We should set
10 a week. You can do that.
No, I cannot.
9.5 a week.
I am making a movie right now, so when you're making one, you can't watch them. But when that's done, I'd like to think I can get back into it. So
you know what? That's actually just 1 a day plus 2 a day in the weekends.
Nope. I know
1 a day.
I know my life well enough to know that's not possible. But I would set, and I would recommend this to other people because I don't like to advocate failure. Set an attainable goal. Know yourself, know your life, and then set a goal.
And then maybe that's been your biggest problem, knowing your limitations.
That's not been my problem. It's been wonderful. I'm very relaxed. I don't have any anxiety anymore. It's beautiful. So I also take a pill for that. But anyway, let's talk about a movie called Pottersville, which is currently streaming on Netflix. And, I'll just play a little bit, and then we'll come back and talk about it. And here we go.
I'm here with the local townsfolk who claim
to have witnessed what they're calling, well, a Bigfoot sighting.
And then we realized that we all saw it. And we were like, cool.
Get your brand new Bigfoot merchandise.
Get it while we still have a Bigfoot.
What do you mean, why will we still have a Bigfoot?
Because of Bart.
What about him?
You didn't hear? They're putting him on Monster Finder.
What?
And if you'd like to join us, despite the peril, we could use your help.
All right, that's a little chunk of the trailer for Pottersville, and here's Bert to tell you all about it.
Michael Shannon stars as Maynard. Maynard is a mild-mannered man who lives in Pottersville, and he runs a little store, a little grocery store, little knickknacks, that sort of thing. Very, very nice guy. He comes home one day early to surprise his wife, and lo and behold, he gets surprised because his wife is dressed up in a rabbit costume.
She is a furry.
She's a furry, as they call them.
By the way,
it's a real thing.
That's real.
I know it's real.
I only found out about it recently. I had no idea. It's a thing.
It's been around for quite a while, actually.
I don't get out much.
Yeah, and she is doing furry things with Ron Perlman, who is also in a wolf costume, although he calls it a squirrel.
He's kind of a big deal in town.
Yeah, he's the sheriff. Yeah, he's the local sheriff. Now, they're not doing anything sexual at that point, but they're just doing furry things.
I think just even the act alone already can be categorized as sexual.
Yeah.
Just doing it.
So he gets distraught. He decides to go and get drunk back at the store. And then he says, you know what? If that's what she wants, I'll be that too. So he puts on a gorilla costume of some sort. And then he wanders drunk through the town. And people see this drunken gorilla and they think there's a Bigfoot around.
That is true.
The next thing you know, there's some sort of reality TV show guy who chases monsters. And
Australian, but not.
Yes. And the town gets some fame because there's been Bigfoot sightings. Yeah. Then he continues the charade, dressing up as Bigfoot, and that's our movie.
That is kind of our movie. Okay.
Michael Shannon, who, by the way, I really like Michael Shannon.
He's a fantastic actor.
Knives Out, Shape of Water, and even in The Runaways. I'm starting to really like him.
Okay, we got to talk about. I love The Runaways. He's great, and he's hilarious in that movie. This movie starts, And it was great because it was one of those beautiful situations where I don't know anything about it. I knew nothing. I didn't read anything about it. I try to do that before we go to these movies now. I used to, in the old days, before I'd watch a movie, I'd try to read as much as I could about it, and just because I was interested,
Yeah, general plot for me is good enough. I don't want to read the
you know
whole
what?
thing. But
I don't even do that anymore. I thought I really want to change my ways, and just try to do this. Always going in cold when possible, but not like in a spoiler. We're like, I can't hear spoiler. Just like but especially for these streaming movies, it's great because you can just kind of go in. And then so the first I got to break this down for you. The first 5 minutes of the movie, I'm like, oh, okay, this is going to be kind of a Hallmark type movie, but it's a depressed town. It looks like it kind of looks like Cedarburg actually in some ways.
I can see that.
A little more like a few more for lease and for rent signs and that sort of thing. And you see Michael Shannon, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be terrific. This is really going to be an interesting, quirky, and I just liked everything about the first 5 minutes.
And then when you got to the bedroom, is that when things changed for you?
Got to the bedroom. No, then I got really excited because I think, oh, this is gonna be one of those comedies like Napoleon Dynamite, or you know what it reminded me? The look reminded me of this guy Jared Hess who did Nacho Libre and a movie that nobody has seen called Gentlemen Broncos that I love, but is not a very good movie. But I love it because it's very quirky. I mean, it's quirky off the scales. So I'm thinking that's what this movie's gonna be. It's gonna be one of those quirky Jared Hess Napoleon Dynamite type films. Okay. So I'm really in love with this thing for the first 20 minutes. I like the direction it's going. Once Michael Shannon's sucking down Ian McShane's homemade hooch. And then it became, for me, a one-joke premise that did not keep on delivering. It just started to kind of rub me the wrong way as the movie's going on, and it became a chore for me, frankly. I liked pieces of it. I thought there was occasionally weird flashes of wit, but here's the problem with this movie. Tonally, that's the problem. It's all over the place. It's like 9 movies in one, and it didn't seem like the filmmakers could ever decide what it was going to be. I have a feeling, since it's been sitting on a shelf since 2017, or like unreleased, and they probably released it and then pulled it back, and now they're making it available for the holiday season on Netflix, which is, by the way, as a Christmas movie, this is probably one of the more twisted versions. This is one of the more twisted choices you could make. So for me, if they had stuck with the only thing I was really interested in was the furry element. Actually, was for me because that was really funny. I thought that was funny, and I'd never seen that in a film before, and I liked to me, it looked like Michael Shannon was a combination of confused and bored in this movie. He wasn't doing much, and maybe the character called for that kind of deadpan, but I think he was just like too deadpan. I mean, he didn't seem that invested. Everyone else was kind of, I don't know. The thing ultimately when it was over, it didn't work for me, and so I've got to go on Pottersville. As much as I appreciate what they were trying to do at times, I thought the Australian guy was funny at first, and then with his
swatch.
Oh yeah, and then just twisting his Australian accent to the point where he was unintelligible. He would it's like what? And then finding out ultimately that he's not Australian. He's just this like loser actor who's trying to spoilers, whatever. It just was a confused mishmash of nothing at the end of the day for me, and so I am going 1.5 stars on this thing.
That is low.
I went low on this one. I was really, and it's a shame because if the whole movie had been like the first 20 minutes, it probably would have been a 3-star movie for me.
Well, I think I'm going to go 2 stars, to be honest with you. I was maybe a little bit better than that because I think I enjoyed it a little more than you, but I was going to say that I think this movie petered out.
Yes, it sure did. Yeah.
It started strong and it just kind of petered out.
Yeah.
But again, I did like the Australian guy, or the fake Australian guy.
Yes, I mean,
I was entertained by him throughout.
It's a funny gag. I mean, I love his Sasquatch song. I thought his song was brilliant and funny and ridiculous and horrible.
We've got a squatch here.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. It just seems like I feel like the filmmakers may have been like handcuffed, like they want to do something, and maybe the people providing the money wanted them to do something else. And I was reading about this thing. By the way, the reviews on this thing are hilarious because people don't know what the hell to make about this movie. If you go to Rotten Tomatoes, it's like, people just have no clue. It is resting at like 0% on the tomato meter. There aren't that many reviews on it, really. And listen to the production on this thing. So Pottersville is filmed in Hamilton and Syracuse, New York. Have you been to Syracuse?
I have been through Syracuse. I don't know where Hamilton is.
Okay. 6 students from nearby Colgate University received internships for the production, and 1 faculty member served as an extra in the film. So there's all these weird little factoids about it. The film premiered in Hamilton at the Hamilton Movie Theater November 10th, 2017. Following a limited theater release, the film was released on DVD and streaming services by Echo Bridge. Now, Echo Bridge, this is something interesting with that company. That company actually owns Mill Creek, which we buy a lot of discs from. You know, they have a lot of old TV, and I'm sure you have some Mill Creek.
Oh yeah,
discs.
I got plenty of them. Hamilton,
Sure.
by the way, is kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's kind of between Cooperstown and Syracuse.
I have to assume that the downtown shots were probably in Hamilton. That's just
Oh yeah, it definitely had that look and feel.
Absolutely.
Small town.
And
Hamilton is very small, by the way.
Yeah. And so, did you know that Echo Bridge, the parent company of Mill Creek, is in La Crosse? They're in La Crosse, Wisconsin.
I did know that because I
no
remember
idea. It's so weird.
looking at one of my DVDs and it said La Crosse, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I don't think they're around anymore.
There's always in some, I'm sure, being sold and bought and sold. I thought the soundtrack to the movie was actually really good. They used some interesting, different kind of standards. There was so much about this movie. Here's the thing. That's what made this movie doubly frustrating because I really wanted to like it. I liked the first 10, 15 minutes so much that when it petered out, I dare I say, I was angry. And you don't want to be angry. I was just and my daughter was watching too, and we were both chuckling here and there, and I'm not telling you not to watch it. I mean, it's definitely something different. And I guess that's something that's something. And in a time when a lot of movies are the same, I mean, ask the guy across from me here who watches a lot of Hallmark movies. If this had been on Hallmark, can you imagine the response?
Yeah, no, I can't imagine. And they'd be getting hate letters.
I would think so. I think they'd lose their audience, so the people would be so angry about it. So that's the scoop on Pottersville. Kind of a late season Christmas movie review for you there. When we come back, we're going to talk about an animated film that I think kind of owes a little bit to maybe an old Oliver Stone movie with Michael Caine. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do.
All right, we'll be back. Welcome back here for the final segment of this week's edition of Front Row Center, not Front Row Video. Although I do miss that store very much. That was a great store. Did you ever come? You came and visited me a few times at that store, didn't you?
Yeah, that's the one on. Was that the one on Brown Deer Road?
No, Mayfair.
Oh, Mayfair.
Yeah, that's the one out there in the it's in the strip mall, kind of about
That's the one where Amy worked at.
Yes.
I remember that. I was there one time.
All right. Very good. It looked like Blockbuster, but it wasn't Blockbuster.
Yeah.
It was red. So wearing a Blockbuster shirt today, actually. So not that I support what they did to our stores. Anyway, we're back talking about an animated film, a French animated film from this year. Let me just make sure.
It is this year, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Directed by a guy named, there's a couple of hash marks over his E, so I'm going to say Jérémy Clapin. I'm hoping
we'll
for
go
the
with
best.
that.
Yeah, based on a
Probably not clapping.
no more. No, yeah. Order a croissant sandwich. The French love us for that. It's based on a book called Happy Hand by Guillaume Laurent, and did pretty well actually at the Cannes Film Festival this year. Got the Nespresso Grand Prize. Does that mean like they got like free coffee for the
Sounds
year?
like
I don't know what that's all about. Let's listen to a little bit. It will be in French, but you'll hear some music, and it's on Netflix. So listen up. And that's a bit of the soundtrack from I Lost My Body. And
Totally French.
very French. Very, 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 very French. Not a lot of dialogue, though, actually, so it's easy to keep up with. But if you're not into subtitles, I watch a lot of subtitles. So
Were you
it doesn't
watching
bother
the
me.
subtitles? I watched the English soundtrack.
Did you? I didn't know that was available.
Sure did.
I always opt for the subtitles because I'm a snob. But anyway, tell us what this wild little movie's about.
Well, in total honesty here, it's been 3 weeks to the day since I saw this, so it's not completely fresh in my mind, but it's a pretty...
It's a simple plot,
It is
really.
pretty simple,
It's just insane.
Yeah, there's a kid named Naufel.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
not
it.
sure how you pronounce it.
Neufel.
But it's a cartoon. Let's say that first of all too. But it's a cartoon about Naufel had his hand severed.
Don't tell him how, because
okay.
I think that's.
But
yes, go ahead.
yeah. But the story, the movie is basically about the hand, which has a life of its own, wanting to reconnect with Naufel.
That is basically the film.
It's harrowing journey back to
It's a rough
him.
journey.
Yeah. Now the movie is told in forward and flashback, and it's all over the place.
A lot of time shifts and everything.
Yeah. But that's basically it. It's
that is
a hand wanting to reconnect with its body.
That is it. And I, once again, coming in cold, I had no idea. I mean, the title actually, oddly enough, is very telling. That's what the movie's about, definitely.
Yeah. Again, just to be clear, this is a hand that wants to reconnect, and it can move, and it can walk around.
Very
and do its
spidery.
thing.
Kind of moves around like a tarantula would. It takes a little while to get its sea legs.
Well, it's fresh and new.
It's fresh and
not
new.
had to do this before. It's like a baby.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny how much kind of as the movie progressed, how much that hand kind of starts to sometimes the hand you'll notice sits down and dangles its legs, so to speak. I mean, it has a lot of personality and a lot of character. I, like I said, went into this movie cold, and I fell completely in love with it. I love the animation style. The animation was beautiful. I found multiple parts of this movie very touching. Just it's funny. It reminds me in some ways of a Terrence Malick movie. I don't know if you've seen The Thin Red Line, or I love not many people love, but I love The Tree of Life with Brad Pitt and Jessica Chastain. I love. It's just weird, different way of looking at life, and and there was a lot of suspense, but the suspense was not born out of cops and robbers or criminals. It was suspense out of, I loved how you began to speculate, how did this guy lose his hand? Because they don't really give you a lot of information at the beginning. It takes
quite a while before we get that.
But he spends a lot of time, at first he's buzzing around on wet pavement on a motorbike delivering pizza.
Yeah, I was starting to wonder if this was the guy who lost his hand, because there was so many back and forth.
Well, right, absolutely. And then eventually he gets a job apprenticeship as a woodcutter. I'm like, oh, now there's where he's going to lose his head. You start to, and there's even scenes where they seem to be intentionally teasing. His wrist is really close to the blade.
Right.
There's a really, I thought, very moving subplot of him finding the love of his life, basically, and constructing a wooden igloo on the top of a roof, because she mentions as they have a conversation over an intercom system about that.
Somebody who was delivering her pizza to. Correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. In fact, and he has a lot of guilt, because I also loved. You're from the same era I am, and you and I have definitely flirted with audio cassettes and recording everything. And as a young child, he was obviously fixated on his audio recorder, his cassette recorder. He actually had a recording of the car accident that took his parents' lives, and basically the accident occurred because he was recording. In some ways, I would say he was maybe to blame, maybe not to blame. However you want to look at that, that's fine.
That's my childhood from about 4th and 5th grade.
Yeah,
6th grade.
Well, yeah, it was all about audio, recording, cassettes, and so I love that element of it. And look what I do here nowadays with all this podcast stuff. So I love all the audiophile stuff. Was great. I mean, as weird, as insane as this movie is, because it really is kind of nuts. And you couldn't do this movie. I mean, you could do it live action, I guess, if the CG has come far enough. Why not? I guess, But again, I don't think an American studio would ever, if you went and pitched, "Hey, I got this great movie about a hand trying to reconnect with its body," they'd be like, "Thanks for coming in." This is one of my favorite movies. I mean, if I had to do a best of year, we haven't done this long enough, so I guess we probably won't pull off a best of year this year. But so far, my highest rated film has been Knives Out. And this is on par with Knives Out for me, so I'm going to do 3.5 on this one. I loved it.
I'm going to go lower than you. 2.5.
Okay.
And no specific reason why. It was fine. I enjoyed it. I liked it. It's just, I don't know. It just seemed kind of slowish in spots. I don't know. I was amused by it all. And, I don't really have much to say about it, to be honest with you. I did like it.
3 weeks. It's been 3 weeks.
I don't know. Maybe 2.5 to 3 in that range, but I'm going to stick with 2.5, damn it.
I was just taken in right away. Everything about it. I love the suspense. I loved going into it and not knowing what was going on, and I liked the kind of the viewer, and that's the thing about European films and everything, is that they don't spoon feed you everything. You have to do a little work, and I liked the work. It was good work for me. I enjoyed trying to piece this strange tale together and try to come up, and I found a lot of very moving bits. The old man who he was an apprentice under. It was interesting. His niece was very protective of him, and there's all these wonderful, delicious little character pieces. Maybe you should watch it again sometime. I bet you'd like it a second
maybe
time.
I will watch it
It's
again.
very short. It's only 81 minutes.
Yeah,
so it goes by, and I don't know. I love the artwork. I love the Parisian settings. I loved the backgrounds, the foregrounds, the animation. I'm kind of I'm an animation or cartoon junkie in some ways. I love good animation, and that's a big thing in our
Cartoon
house.
Parisian settings.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but very well. I mean, I haven't been there, so I can't say for
I'll let you know in about 5 months.
So really?
I'm going to Paris.
We will not be on the air that week, I'm assuming, unless I can have you call in. Really?
London and Paris.
Really?
Perhaps Liverpool.
You try to do other counties?
No.
Get to it. Fascinating. Well, how'd that come about? Tell us on the air. Why not? We have a few minutes. Why did it come about?
Well, it's my sister-in-law is turning 40, and my mother-in-law is turning 60, and it was decided
It's an in-law thing.
Yes, they
Gotcha.
want to go spend that big milestone years overseas.
And they didn't want to do Aleppo.
We're tagging along.
They didn't want to do. Syria or Iraq. So they chose.
Correct.
Good. Well, that's a good choice. Interesting. Wow. You've never been.
I've never been to. I've been to Italy and France. I was on a Mediterranean cruise a couple of years ago.
Oh, I do kind of remember that.
This will be mostly landlocked. So yeah, I've been to the Roman Colosseum. I've been to the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
It's ridiculous. Is you're going to be in some of the best coffee brewers and coffee providers in the world, and you won't touch a drop.
I will smell them.
Oh, bring me back. I'm going to make you bring me back a half pound or something. I don't know if you can.
No, it's
that.
metric over there.
I'm going to have you bring back a kilogram or whatever it is. All right, very good. All right, folks, that's Front Row Center for... When's this going down, by the way?
Memorial Day weekend.
All right, we got some time.
Yes.
All right, start packing. We'll be back next week with more reviews, all streaming movies all the time here on Front Row Center. Get in touch with us on our Facebook page. All you got to do is look up Front Row Center Reviews, and we will show up. And otherwise, stop in the Cedarburg Public Library. Watch Bert over on the Schlockmeister's channel. It is spelled just like it sounds on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Next week, we'll do it again.